Alright, so I think we'll start off with just some AI navigation. I was debating whether I should use my AI root motion or not, and I think I'll do this one without the root motion. It's very similar setup. I mean, we're going to use targets. I mean, with the root motion, if you watch the video, really when it comes down to the movement, he's just going for a target. And this is going to be the same thing, but without the root motion. So if you have root motion, you can maintain that controller and just use the logic we'll build here for the targets, and it'll work the same. If you don't have root motion, then we'll cover on just basic AIs when you don't have, a big library of animations to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is we have a scene here, and I thought I'd do this. And I have my little guy here, and he's going to be my AI guy. And I pulled this actually out of a demo. It's just a couple of roads. And it'd be nice to see this AI kind of move around, or even make a patrolling state, but have some obstacles. So the first thing you need to do is your objects that are in the scene, if they aren't marked as static, right? Like if I hit bake, the AI will walk right through these things, because as far as the AI knows, that's not there. He doesn't care about it. So the first thing you want to do is, if you have things that you want the AI to avoid, you can mark them as static. Well, they don't even have to be static. They have to be navigation static. The other option is to, for example, let's take this little box or whatever this is and stick it here. Actually, I'm going to put it up in the air. There's a component called Nav Mesh Obstacle, and you can turn on carbon. And if you don't have these, if you Google Unity pathfinding, there is like an advanced thing on the GitHub by Unity that has a bunch of special components to enhance AI stuff. Like I don't know if I actually have it in this. No, I don't have it in this. So you should have this one. But there's like a nav mesh surface and stuff, and you can do a little more with this stuff. So let's clear all that. And let's just make it navigational. So with these things static, you can see they have an area around it. The AI doesn't want to go through it. And this little box we made, now the one thing is, if we hit play, this car, I can't move. I can't drag him. He's static. He's taken out of that thing. So he's lighter on performance, but we can't do anything with it. Where this box, for example, is static, because we marked it as static apparently. And if I unmark it as static, but it has this Nav Mesh Obstacle. Now if I go here, you can see it cuts its own nav mesh. We move it, and it, so it becomes movable. Okay, so that's kind of one of those differences. So it kind of depends on what you want set up. This way is obviously better on performance, but I mean, if you look at, that's a pretty wide range. Maybe that's all you need, but if you adjust these things, like I'm stating right here that the radius is 0.5, and that's pretty big for an AI. Right, where if I now bake it like that, I've made the AI smaller. Oh, he's still, oh, whoops. Yeah, now I made the AI smaller. Now you can see it's tighter in, right? And that's, you're gonna have to play and figure out what you want with that stuff. Okay, so the other thing is your AI is going to walk everywhere. So if I select these, they'll have the name of road, right? So I'm going to go up here and just type road, and you're able to change this to all types of names, but you see everything's kind of white. Except for what's a road, right? So I can now select everything here because all that's showing up here is roads. So that's what I typed in, right? And if I go to navigation, areas, no, objects, I can say this is not walkable, or I can tell it to say this is a jump. Now if I bake, see it's a different color, right? So for the purpose of what we're doing, I'm going to make these non-walkable, but I want these crosswalks, which are also part of the road, to be walkable. Now I'm going to bake, and I get this. So the AI can't even access this stuff. It's not there. It can only follow these paths now. So that's cool. Now the other thing is the example of what we're going to do is we don't want the AI just to be randomly running around when there could be potentially, say, cars coming and stuff. So we're going to figure something out with that. But for starters, I'm just going to give this guy a couple animations. We will give him, let's see what we have. So I'm not going to use the turning animations. I do like the turning animations, but not everyone has turning animations. So we need an idle, and we're going to need a walk. So, and I'm going to use a bool here, is walking. And we're just going to make a couple transitions back and forth. And no exit time is walking is true. And take no exit time is walking is false. Pretty simple. And if I take this guy now and add a nav, not that, a Nav Mesh Agent, I can now, you can also tell him like what he can and can't go on, so you can make various things. For example, like you could, I should probably show you that since we're covering this stuff anyways. So if I go say make an area, make this, we'll say rough, and we're going to give this a cost of 3. So it's 3 times as much as walkable. Okay, now that probably doesn't make a lot of sense yet, but if I now select, I've still got it selected, and say it is now rough, right, and let's rebake that. Okay, so now it's rough, it's a rough patch, and it's 3 times as costly to walk on this as it is on this. So just to kind of show you what happens with that, I'm just going to very quickly show you what that kind of means just by having that AI quickly follow this little box here, just briefly. So you follow this box and hit play. Right, so now see, if I go on the road, the AI doesn't want to go on the road. Can't go on the road. And if I come over here, See, he still wants to walk on the path because this is costly to walk on. It's actually better for him to walk. But if I cut straight across, he will go use that dirt path, right? He's going to try to avoid it because it's a 3 compared to the 1, so it's based on distance and it's a bit of math, but he will use it. Just he'll prefer to walk on the sidewalk for how we have it set, like that. Okay. So next thing we have is we need. Let's get rid of this, and I'm gonna have. We'll say 1 point. We'll say 2. Stopping distance of 2. Acceleration of 10. And let's go get agent velocity. So we're just going to get the magnitude. And we are going to float compare. And if magnitude is, say, greater than 0.25, we are moving. I'm going to copy that, paste that, just link those back and forth, and this one's going to be if we are less. Set animator animator bool. Move this to the top, and is walking is true. Copy and paste. Before is false. So all we're saying is if we get a velocity on this AI agent and he's starting to move, we need to come over here and say we are walking, and if it drops below 25, we're going to go back over here and say we're not walking. Alright, then so let's say because now as you see, we have this AI and he is walking. He's walking fast. We need to either adjust his movement speed or adjust the animation, right? But you can see like he's avoiding these obstacles as is, right? Like you come around here, he wants to walk around things. He's not gonna go over and in things. He's gonna go right around, right? So let's just adjust these things. Let's go down to 1.5. Let's take angular speed up to 500. And that's probably good. Let's see if he looks a little better when he's moving. Still a little fast. Still got a bit of a slide. So let's take this down to a 1.25 and let's just go up to 1,000. It's a little better. See, now this is where that root motion is nice, because it looks a little nicer when you're doing this part. But I mean, that's really the only difference between the AI root motion, if you watch that tutorial compared to this tutorial, is this one's not using the root motion, but we still have a target he's chasing. And the AI root motion, you have the turn animations, there's a little more to it, but it looks really smooth and nice. But I mean, they both work. They're both the same thing. They're both with AI moving towards stuff. So let's set that up. Let's go 1.2. right up to 2000 actually. So there we have this AI. Now, what if we create a couple spheres? We'll give these a tag. We'll call it wander. And we're going to take one there, we'll put one over here, one here, one here. Right? So now, let's, in this guy, make a new start state. And we need an array. So let's, I don't know if I have array maker in this project. So we need to, oh, I do have array maker in here. Find, that's okay. Well, then we'll use array maker because it's a better system. It's meant for more stuff like this. So array list proxy. We're going to call this one targets. Okay, so targets, and the tag we're using is called wander. Right, so if I hit play, this thing should populate with those targets. Perfect. So let's just finish that. We don't want to play around with any more of that. So all I'm going to do is array list get next, or we can do a get random, I suppose, as well. Let's do a loop and a done and a current. Okay, it's a type game object. The result is current target. And the reference is targets. So on a loop, we are going to, should have just dragged it over there. Okay, well, current target and agent remaining distance. So store, we could possibly do the arrived event. Even though I haven't had much luck with those. I like to just do the floats. I find it more stable, I guess you could say. So we want, if distance is say less than 2.5, we're going to get a new target every frame. And when we're done, let's just do a small little wait. And then go back up. And you can just keep looping forever. Alright, so he should now have something horribly wrong. Get remaining distance. Current target. Let's see why that's trying to loop so fast. Sphere, the distance is that. The other thing you could do, I forget if the root motion uses the game target or a position, but I mean if it uses a position, you would just simply get position set agent destination. Right, so you get the position of the target, and then you set the destination to the whatever variable you make from that. It's the only difference there. So this thing's being weird. So let's try this and get new target one, I suppose. Let's see if it actually works for me. No, it's not wanting to work. Use owner. Okay, you know what? Just in case this is causing an issue, I'm going to move this up here and do a next frame. And because I want this to be so that you can still chase it, if it moves, let's kind of put it in that thing so it's in two different spots. There we go. That's working. Alright, so he's going to move towards these things. And he's not going to get the arrived event because it's based on a distance. See, and that's why I like this thing. I like to use the floats. Get a little more control over it. Still moving a little fast. So he is freaking out. And Control Shift P. So he's getting this sphere. Well, he's getting all of them. Get remaining distance. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. If this guy doesn't want to behave, I am just going to do get distance this way. And let's take him up to 1.5. So let's see. That should be a little more stable. I haven't had much luck with a few of those actions on the AI when it comes to destinations, and yeah, see now he's hit it. We could always put a weight there or have him do something as well. But you see, like he's avoiding these things quite well. But he's gonna do this kind of endless loop now, where he's just gonna walk around. And we can speed him up so we can see. See how he kind of travels and how he handles it. Yeah, he's going to go around these things. So what would happen if we wanted to put in lights? Because we might have cars coming. Well, to do lights, I would have a object. Let's create an object here, stick it here, and this object is going to create, I'm going to use cubes just for a moment. That guy, and one there, and one here. And all three of these are going to get a Nav Mesh Obstacle. This guy, right, if we go down to this guy now, we have to tell him that he needs to carve, so cutting into the nav mesh, and if we scale this side up, he's cutting along a nice little path. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to get rid of the mesh renderers and the collider. I'm just going to keep the Nav Mesh Obstacle. And this guy, I'm going to do the exact same thing. And then this guy, he's in a bit of a different road, but we're still going to want to use this X, so we're going to have to rotate him. Because if he does 10, he's not going quite far enough. So, you know, he's probably like a 14. Yeah. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is go like this. I'm going to get rid of his. Remove. Remove. And remove. And we're going to make an FSM, and this one's going to be horizontal, just so I can differentiate versus these things. Actually, no. We're just going to call it crosswalk. So in crosswalk, we need an event called, we'll say horizontal and vertical. Horizontal and vertical. So this guy we're going to use on the vertical. So we need to set scale of our X every frame. We're going to interpolate from 0 to 15 over 1 second's probably fine. Yeah, well, okay. That, and then I'm going to do so. Okay, and then activate game object. Oh wait, no, we don't want to activate nothing. Let's do this. Let's get a new variable called object obstacle oh my god. Okay, whatever. It's spelled wrong. Screw it. Okay, Unity Engine. So we have Nav Mesh, which is going to be under AI somewhere, which will probably be UI. Okay, oh, there we go. So Unity Engine, AI, Nav Mesh Obstacle. There we go. So now, in the beginning, get component. I could just drag it in, but this will make it a little more friendly. So set property on obstacle, move him up to carving is true. Copy and paste, but is false. And let's also I guess we don't need to do that because he's going from 0 to 15 automatically. So there's horizontal and vertical. So if I now copy that, come down here and paste it, but this one needs to change over. That one needs to be horizontal. This one needs to be vertical. Let's copy that one and paste this guy over. And I guess size-wise, he doesn't go 15, he goes 10. Okay, so now this guy needs an FSM. So all he's going to do is send event to game object, not game object FSM or anything, just game object. Send to children. We'll say go horizontal, and we're going to wait. You can play like lights and stuff or whatever. We'll wait, I don't know, say 5 seconds. It's pretty short, but it's okay. And then, actually, let's copy him, paste, and just go back and forth. But this guy's going to go vertical. So now, if we flick this on, oh, we got to make those wider. Yeah, we got to do some adjustments. So we want, okay, so he needs to go, say, about 4. This guy can go 4. Oh, apparently 6. This guy can go 4. And I think we should adjust this so we're not scaling. You know, scale should work. They should all be set to carve. Move threshold time stationary point to 0, 1. Carve only stationary. Let's just get rid of that. How about we just turn that off? Might be more performance heavy, but let's see what that looks like. There we go. You can almost go a little wider on them, right? So now we have this kind of system where we have more or less these set up lights, so you could have cars read into the same kind of system, so they come over here and they stop here, and then when this opens they can go. Meanwhile, this guy's trying to move. Oh, we screwed him up. There he goes. See, the AI don't like going on it if it's got this stuff here. Now, with that said, an easy way to fix that, see like how he's trying to go up that little side there, right? So if we go back to our areas and say road, and let's go object and go road. Select it all, and I'm going to unselect these guys, and we're going to set him to road, and now we'll tell those to bake. So it's a little bit different, and we're going to tailor this road. We're just going to go like super high, so he's still not going to use it, but if he ends up on it, he's not going to freak out. Oh, but he still is going to end up on it because we're carving it. That's right. Almost need to just change that area, which we can do that too. that's I think that's probably a better idea. So let's go and make that not walkable again. These ones can be walkable. And let's rebake that. And let's go over and clear that. I'm going to go into each of those. I'm going to go 6. And I think we should slow those down. Vertical. Let's say, let's go, I don't know, 3 seconds. And obviously, you gotta do some tweaking and playing with this type of stuff. Now let's see what he does. Right. Let's speed him up a little bit. Oh, well, no. We want to make sure we see this stuff. But it's a lot more clear now. It doesn't have those crazy edges. See, he wants to get over here and he can't because that thing was all hooplawed for him. But now we have this thing here. He wants to go there. He can't do it. And if this guy moves, he should recalculate. Yeah, he might need to recalculate once in a while here. So let's just go over to him. And let's do a wait. I don't know, say 3 seconds. Just gonna have him go back into that state. There's nothing, we don't need to get fancy with it. Right, just finish, close that. So there we go. Let's speed him up. Let's go watch our navigation. He's like, oh man, we got to get over here and we can't do it. It's like, how are we going to do this thing? I think that time's super fast for him. See what he does. Why is he fighting with that so hard? He has some issues all of a sudden. Let's temporarily get rid of that. Where is our agent radius? Bring him down. And let's just rebake. Forgot to change those speeds again. So let's do that real quick. So now we have, see, he's got to recalculate, so he does that 3-second wait. Why he's having so much issue with that all of a sudden is beyond me. Oh, oh man, did I? No. We didn't do that, did we? Like, if I go, okay, let's turn this guy off briefly. No, that's, I was thinking like maybe we change these things. Walkable. Okay. Now did we screw around with these guys? See, I almost wonder if that has something to do with them being there on top. Let's speed him up. He's getting stuck for some reason. And I'm almost thinking it's because of these. Because if that's gone, okay. There's our problem. So we need to adjust that. Let's take the carving out and just go enabled. So false and true. Put that back. And let's put that back and put that one back. Change these ones to enabled true, enabled false. Enabled true, enabled false. Okay, now let's just take this guy so we're not waiting forever. Stick him there. Bring this guy over here. Hit play. Check out our navigation. So he's looking. Waiting. Okay, that's open. He does his 3-second wait. He's going to go. Now he crosses. So yeah, apparently can't just have those things sitting idle. It's not going to work very well for us. Now, normally, if you were doing an AI thing with a nav mesh path, you'd probably put these things here, right? You would stick them so that he doesn't wander off to the side, and then you would branch off from here to go out, right? So he's going here and he wants to get here. He doesn't want to go over here, he wants to go here, so he's going to wait here until this is open. What's our AI doing now? He is getting target 3, which is already there. No, target 3's over here. Oh, he's right confused. Oh yeah, because it's, if this one's open and this one's closed, or this one's closed and this one's open, he can't see this one anymore at all. So I mean, keep that in mind. If you're building a path, you can't go from here to here. You got to kind of break it up, right? But that's kind of how we do some nav mesh stuff anyways. Like I said, it's all about let's just select everything, and I'm going to go make everything walkable. Yes, change children and bake. Okay, so everything is walkable. I'm going to take these things just to show you more on, make sure the navigational, right? So obstacle avoidance. Oh, those guys are too high in the air. If they even have stuff on them, I don't know. No, they don't even have Nav Mesh obstacles on them. So let's carve. There we go. Right, so he's said he'll avoid all that stuff now. Make him run for it. So Jesus, what did I just do? Somehow move that frickin' other side of the world. Yeah, so that's how you set up some nav mesh obstacle things, right? You don't want your AI to be running into things or getting stuck on things. You got to make sure you bake that nav mesh, set it up right, and use different layers. In my project, if you ever looked at the project there on the videos, there's water. So I have water that is set up differently than the land, right? It's a different cost. And one of the things you can do with an AI is tell this AI that you can only, like if you turn these off, you can now only walk on roads, right? You know, or you can only walk on walkable, not walk on roads. So if you have water, for example, and you want to be able to walk across it, you can set that up so that it's a water, and this AI can't go in the water, and he won't. He'll avoid it like it's a black plague. Now this method, we are using objects through this to mark these things. What happens if you have a terrain though, right? If you have a terrain, you can't just tell the whole terrain that you want it to be broken up into pieces. As I said, I don't have the Nav Mesh components. I'll have to do another video on that sometime, I guess. But in there's a component called Nav Mesh Surface, and you can change it to a volume. So you can literally paint a box and be like, hey, everything in this box is said area, right? It's the exact same system. It uses all the same stuff. It's just you can paint an area. You can use boxes and volumes. So there is some AI navigational stuff. We'll talk to you later.